Chair Fontano,
Yes,
the meeting is open to the public now.
okay, great. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting of Wednesday, July 15th. It is 6:06. And I have an announcement to make here regarding tonight's meeting. It is being held using GoToWebinar and pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order, pending certain provisions of the open meeting law, that's GLC 38S, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order, imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may be gathered in one place, as well as Mayor Curtatoni's declaration of emergency dated March 15, 2020. This meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals will be conducted via remote participation. We will have an audio recording available upon request as soon as possible after the meeting. Is someone speaking? Okay. So the first point of business under the agenda tonight is under general business. It's approval of the minutes from June 10th and June 24th. Could we have the clerk, Danielle, make a motion, I guess individually?
I make a motion to approve the June 10th, 2020 minutes as submitted. Second.
Elaine has a second. Elaine Severino, second.
Yes,
I'll go around. Danielle, all in favor of approving the June 10th, 2020 minutes, please say aye. Danielle Evans.
Aye.
Elaine Severino.
Aye.
Josh Safdie.
Aye.
Ann Brockelman.
Aye.
Drew Kane.
Aye.
And Susan Fontano, aye. Unanimous approval for the June 10th, 2020 minutes. Thank you. Madam Clerk, June 24th, please.
I make a motion to approve the June 24th, 2020 minutes as submitted. Second.
Seconded by Elaine Severino. Again, may I go around and have your approval? Danielle Evans.
Aye.
Elaine Severino.
Aye.
Josh Safdie.
Aye.
Ann Brockelman.
Aye.
Drew Kane.
Aye.
And Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show the June 24th, 2020 minutes were approved unanimously. Next on the agenda, is there any withdrawals or advertised public hearings? There are none. We do have one personal comment I'd like to make tonight, that Drew Kane, he's been an alternate with us since early 2019 through tonight. And because he's leaving this fair city, he has to withdraw from our board. I'm sure I voiced the board's sentiments when we say it's been a real pleasure. You've been a real gentleman. We found you very knowledgeable, and we're going to miss you. So best of luck to you in your new digs.
Thanks. It's been amazing. Appreciate it, guys.
Anybody want to say anything?
You don't have to.
All right. Yeah, all right, Josh. I like it.
We will miss you.
Oh, it's been great. No, you guys learned a lot from every one of you. Appreciate it.
You'll have to come in some Wednesday night. We have a meeting and say hi.
You'll see me in the back of the audience. You'll see me there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Still see you there at 11:30?
Yes.
Be there to torment
Be
us.
waving goodbye to Josh at 11:30.
Yeah. Thank you, really, Drew. It's been a real pleasure.
Oh, no, thanks a lot. It's been fun.
Okay, so under the public hearings tonight, our first case on the agenda 345 Medford Street. I understand they're here and they're gonna speak to us.
So, Madam Chair, I actually believe this is Charlotte speaking. I actually believe they're not here. After the agenda was posted on Monday, they submitted a request to continue the case to August 19th. I believe they are pursuing a map change to go from MR4 to MR6. And so we're requesting a continuance while they pursue that.
Okay, so they're not here to request it.
That is correct, I believe. Let me
Why
quickly
is that?
check the list.
Why is that?
I am not entirely sure why that is. I believe Rebecca Cooper is here and listening. If you would like to talk to her, she's been in much closer contact with them.
No, I don't want to bother Rebecca with this tonight, but normally we do like to, I know in the past, see them in some cases or hear from them direct and others. So I was just curious. I thought they might come, one would get on board and ask for it personally, but that's okay. All right, so in the matter, may I, from the, if that's okay with the board, we're just going to approve the continuance. Okay, Danielle, please, Madam Clerk, could you make a motion?
So the meeting it's August 19th, is that correct?
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Josh.
so just one question there. We do have this memo from Rebecca and two proposals from consultants who might do this peer review they're talking about. Should we not follow through with this?
Can somebody help me with Josh's comments? They're real gobbled to me. Excuse me, Charlotte. Did you-
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, this is Charlotte speaking. Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he said the board received memos from Rebecca Cooper about the peer review request that you asked for last time.
Yep.
And he is asking what, if any, action you should take on those tonight, since the applicant is pursuing a map change. And if I may, Rebecca Cooper is happy to address this if you would like to hear from her and discuss it.
Okay, sure. Ms. Rebecca?
Yes, Madam Chair. Apologies, this is Rebecca Cooper speaking. Thank you, Mr. Softon, for that question. Because the applicant, and I do want to apologize, I'm more familiar with the procedures of the planning board, where it is considered acceptable if an applicant submits for a continuance in writing. So I apologize that I did not ask the applicant to make sure that somebody was here to request it officially. The neighborhood, since the initial meeting that we had, the neighborhood has submitted a map change proposal for a number of parcels in Gilman Square, and should the council vote favorably on these, 2 of 3 requested variances would be mooted. I have actually discussed this with the applicant in some detail, and they're looking to come forward under the MR6 zoning with a completely compliant thing. So they're looking at not requesting any variances. At that point, the variance applications that are in front of you would be withdrawn. Therefore, in that case, neither of the 2 studies that are being proposed would be required. If the applicant decides to come back without any changes, they would still be requiring 2 variances, one for the rear setback and one for the front step backs that are required by MR6. At that point, even if they were to come forward with that, we would want to change the scope of that proposal, because the scope that we would be asking for would have been mooted by that work. So we would no longer need to direct the applicant to spend the money to justify 2 additional floors of development that they were allowed by right if the map change goes through. So at this point, we believe that staff believes that it is best to put these proposals on the back burner and see what happens in the intervening period, see whether or not the applicant will come to this board again or go directly through the planning board.
I have a quick question, Rachel. This is Susan Fontano. So this is going to be presented to the council when?
Madam Chair, the council, Rebecca speaking again, the council is going to be on recess until I believe it is August 20th. I think the earliest possible meeting after that would be August 25th. That meeting between the Land Use Committee and the Planning Board has not been scheduled. They will need to sit, have testimony on this map change, and then the Planning Board will vote their recommendation at the next available Planning Board meeting.
So let me understand this. They're asking for a continuance till August 19th. That's what I understood right now. And you're saying the council's on recess till the 20th. So the council wouldn't be voting on anything pertinent to their case. Why would they be coming to us on the 19th?
Yes, Madam Chair, Rebecca speaking again. My advice to the applicant team was for them to continue to the second meeting in September, which has been September 16th, to allow the council to do their business. Fortunately, the applicant has decided not to take that recommendation. We expect that they'll possibly come back to you on the 19th with an update on the next plans and potentially a request for an additional continuance at that time.
Does everybody get that?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Drew. Drew Kane
Rebecca.
speaking.
Sure. So Rebecca, it wasn't clear to you why they would come back prior to the council meeting. Is there a reason why they just wouldn't say we're coming back in September? I mean, what is the benefit to the board to have them come back and present again?
Thank you.
Well, Madam Chair, thank you. Rebecca speaking again. I believe that it is their intention to have a check-in to see if there's any changes in the meantime. The applicant team did not give me a perspective beyond the fact that they're very much hoping that things move forward very quickly. I applaud their optimism on that front, but I expect that they will need to come back forward and ask for.
Madam Chair, if I can ask a question, Rebecca, or rather just say something. Rebecca, you're very choppy on my end. I'm not sure if other people are having a challenge hearing that.
Definitely very difficult.
Yeah, I don't know if Charlotte can maybe relay that, or if I'm not sure, but it was difficult to hear what you were saying on that last one.
I heard, Madam Chair, this is Charlotte speaking. I heard some of it. I will repeat what I said, what I heard while Rebecca may be able to address the technical difficulties. So the applicant was advised by staff to continue to the second meeting in September in order to give the council time to review their zoning change application or zoning map amendment request. They felt that continuing to August 19th would be better for them. And I'm not sure we know what their plan at the August 19th meeting would be, other than to provide the board with an update on what revisions, if any, they've made to their plans in the ensuing month.
Madam Chair, this is Rebecca speaking again. I hope that you can hear me a little bit more clearly. I do apologize for the difficulty. Charlotte has captured what I was trying to get across very clearly. I don't have a good explanation for the applicant's choice to continue to the August 19th meeting, beyond the fact that I understand that they're hoping that the project will move forward very quickly and they're very optimistic about progress that can be made.
Elaine Severino.
I'm confused about the sentence of the hoping that the project will move quickly. If the council is not going to come back until the 20th, what could move quickly before the council? I imagine they want to hear about new zoning from the councilors. So what's going to move quickly for the August 19th meeting?
Madam Chair, Rebecca speaking. I apologize, Madam Ms. Severino, I don't have an answer for you. The applicant declined to take my advice and did not provide further explanation.
Well, I just want to say something. We've got new zoning overview here, and we've got a lot of new staff, and there's a lot of new ways of doing things, not only because of the city of Somerville, but the corona. Here we are with the virtual webinar meeting. Don't forget that they can request anything they want in a continuance, and we don't have to approve it. And that's why we like them to at least give us the courtesy of, if they don't all come with their troop, that they're pleased that somebody comes and represents them. I think it's a waste of time, because what I was going to instruct our board to do, I knew this was going to happen. I thought their agent was going to come and be present and maybe could answer just a couple little questions we might have had, because my instructions were going to be to the board that, okay, we know what the plan's going to be. We've got their packets. We've got the, new reports and whatnot. For us to go back, for us to do our homework, to fine tune any questions or comments we might have, so that when we all come together after the council's meetings, we can address some of these items that are in front of us. So I don't know if that's a thumbs up from the board, if they had thought that's something we might be doing. So I'm rather disappointed that somebody isn't here, because it's really not all on you, Rebecca. You've done yeoman's work, I feel, on this project and pulling us together, and certain things we've never had any purview to use in the past. You're bringing us up to par on it. So I'm a little disappointed in that. And we're not going to be wasting our time. As we go forward with these cases, I'd like, as chair of this board, for us to work as efficiently as possible for everybody's sake, the sake of the ZBA, the sake of the planning staff, and of course, all the applicants that come forward. And for us to keep carrying people on these agendas, meeting after meeting, meeting after meeting, and pencil whipping this stuff, it's not going to fly. It's not going to. We have a real wonderful board of professionals, architects, planners, and what have you. All of us wear a different hat. And I think that, it's a waste of our time, I think, unless some miraculous thing's going to happen with this project. And these let's face it, these are variances, and variances are very, very important and very serious. So I don't know what the pleasure of the board is. Should we approve it for the 19th, or is it under our right that we can move it beyond that into September?
Madam Chair.
Who's speaking?
Madam Chair, this is Rebecca speaking. It is my understanding that it is the board's discretion to decide when they would like to pick up an item again.
Yep.
So it is for you to decide when you would like to continue this project.
Right.
I would like to know that I've been updated some information that I had received earlier this week, which is that the council will not be back in session until the 27th. So that would work in favor of the board deciding under their own discretion what they would like to take up this project.
Charlotte?
Madam Chair, this is
Can Can you make that a little clearer for us from Rebecca?
I can. Rebecca said that it is up to the board's discretion when to
Right.
continue this case to. If you feel that continuing it to beyond August 19th is more appropriate, you are more than welcome to make that choice. She also noted that the council will not actually be back until August 27th, so slightly later than August 20th.
Okay, so they're gonna be back doing their thing, and then they're gonna have their meeting is August 27th?
I believe the first city council meeting, or I believe the city council recess ends August 27th, which would make the recommendation of the second meeting in September realistic.
Okay. All right, one thing I want to check before I open it up to the board here. So our meetings are the 5th, the 19th of August. And then what happens to us in September? Could you tell me, please?
Madam Chair, this is Charlotte. If you give me one moment, I will check my calendar, but I believe the next two meetings in September are September 2nd and then September 16th.
Okay. So let me put it to the board then, because we have to make a motion. Just show your hands or your thumbs up if you want to just, for now, continue them until the 19th, or if you want to jump to September 2nd. Can I have thumbs up on the honoring their request to go to the 19th? I don't see any, okay. And what about if we continue to the 2nd of September? Who's in favor of that? Josh is, I am, Ian is, and Danielle, do you matter?
When is the soonest that city council would have a recommendation?
Yeah, they're meeting on the 27th.
Okay,
So
so
there's
they,
some motion being made, whether they approve it or not, it's another story. But then we meet right after that, the following Wednesday, on the 2nd.
Madam Chair, this is Charlotte speaking, if I may.
Charlotte.
I believe the process is once the council is out of recess, they'll need to determine when their land use committee meetings are, since both the land use committee and the planning board will need to review any map changes. So if the full council comes out of recess on August 27th,
Yeah,
I would expect it to take approximately 2 weeks, more or less. I'm not sure on the timing, but I would say approximately 2 weeks from the council reconvening before it would be possible to have a vote on the map change.
so that would really bump them up to the 16th of our schedule.
That is correct.
So do you folks want to have a compromise though and forget August now and just jump to the beginning of September if they're asking for an audience with us to give them the September 1st date? Yes, Ann.
Madam Chair, are they still considering two strategies? Is that why? Do they just want to get on the agenda in
I
case
don't know.
they're not pursuing the MR6? It just sounds like they're undecided, so they're at an
Rebecca?
earlier date.
Yes, Madam Chair, are you able to hear me? Madam
Not
Chair,
well.
can you hear me? Just a moment, just a moment.
So it doesn't really matter to me which date they pick because I think they'll decide and continue or keep the date. I mean, it's just a placeholder right now.
Elaine?
I'm in favor of the 16th. I don't think the council is going to have anything too quickly available. And I have a feeling that the way we're speaking about August 19th is sort of going to be a waste of our time. I have a feeling that September 2nd is going to be the same kind of a meeting, waste of our time as August 19th. I think that if we push them up to September 16th, maybe the council will have had an opportunity to come up with some changes, and then the applicant would know definitely one way or the other.
Thank you. So, can I hear from Danielle?
All I know is we've been talking about this for 20 minutes, so can we make a decision?
No, but I don't care.
Continued matter, and we've spent 20 minutes on it. I think it's kind of excessive. I say first meeting in September.
The second.
Fine by me.
Josh, what do you feel?
Yeah, I can go with second.
The second? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We'll blow off August because there's really nothing really happening. And at least the counselors will be back. It's the beginning of September. We can have them come see us. We have some questions for them. They have some answers for us, and we'll move forward in a positive fashion. Does that sound okay to Ian and, okay, so
Sure.
what I think we're gonna make a motion, Rebecca and Charlotte, is we're gonna make a motion that we are gonna give them their continuance, but we're gonna do it until September 2nd.
Madam Chair, this is
Yes.
Drew. I just have a question that might be helpful. Rebecca, is this a citizen's petition in which it could be seen by the board prior to going to city council?
Madam Chair, this is Charlotte speaking. I know Rebecca is having quite a few technical difficulties being heard. My understanding, and I will count on Rebecca to correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Gilman Square Neighborhood Association has submitted a map change amendment for this and some other properties in Gilman Square. And I have no doubt that if you would like to see it, we can try to get it to you after this meeting at some point.
Madam Chair, this is Rebecca speaking. Can you hear me at all?
Okay,
Yes, Charlotte is correct. This is a citizens map petition that has been submitted. It was heard by the council and voted to the land use committee. So the next step is for the land use committee to hold a hearing on it.
okay. And so we don't think that's gonna happen, until like around the 16th, right?
Madam Chair, Rebecca speaking, the best advice that I have is that we will not have an answer until at least the first week of September, because the planning board will have to vote. And the first opportunity the planning board will have to vote will be on September 3rd.
Oh, okay. So what, you folks in the office there know what's going through the works. Is it gonna be a waste of our time to go to the 2nd? And should we jump right to the 16th? What do you advise us to do?
Madam Chair, Rebecca speaking again. I do believe that it would be the most efficient use of this board's time to continue to the September 16th.
Thank you. That's what I felt, So, all right, then as the chair, that would be my recommendation. Because it seems like if we come back on September 2nd, the planning board has their meetings the next night. The councils are getting together on the 27th, but then they have to make their plan from there. So, we'll have other things on our agenda. I would like somebody to make a motion that we wait till September 16th. And maybe, we'll come that night, the ducks will be in place, and we can vote.
All right, I'll make that motion.
All right, Madam Clerk.
In the matter of case DRA 2020-0052-345 Medford Street, I make a motion that we continue this to the September 16th, 2020 meeting.
Second.
Seconded by Elaine Severino. All in favor of granting a continuance for 345 Medford Street, but not for what they requested 8/19, let the record show. But we're gonna move to September 16th, thus allowing all the proper committees and departments, be it land use, planning, and counselors, to everybody get our ducks in order so we can go forward in a professional fashion. So Danielle Evans, yay or nay?
I,
Elaine seconded. I'm asking, your aye?
Aye.
Aye, Elaine. Josh?
Aye.
Josh is aye. Ian Brockelman?
Aye.
June Kane?
Aye.
And Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show is unanimous that in the matter of DRA 2020-0052, 345 Medford Street, it's continued until September 16th, 2020. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ms. Cooper, very much. And so let me clear up my little mess here, because we're going to jump right over to our next case of the evening, which is Clarendon Hill, North Street. And I need to take 1 minute. I'm changing my computer here. So we're going to take we have a recess just for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, I got this, is just a thing, now we can do the one that you connect to it.
Okay, yep, wait a minute, let me go down. Oh, here, yeah. Email cloud, training stuff, right here, webinar, right here. Right, do this, join in. Webinar, go to webinar. Click run, and open.
Oh, yeah. Because you gotta download it.
Yeah, I couldn't get you, I was trying to figure out what to do. Now what? That's it?
Wait,
It's clicking?
okay.
Yeah.
Let's plug it in and it's still on the,
Yeah, you can take this away.
Okay.
Okay.
You can get it
So
on.
this is the new
If
cord.
you wanna get it on phone. I don't know.
Okay, then all right, don't go away, 1 second. All right, let me see, connect to webinar. Use the,
Oh, you still got it in.
we're waiting on the way, let me see something here.
Make sure the volume's up.
Oh, there it is,
Yeah.
30% now.
Mhm.
Audio, it should be, Josh, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Thank you, I'm good, sir.
Good.
I'll take certain things away.
Okay, yeah, after that. Do you want, this is, you want me to get another table?
No, but this can be taken away.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Susan, can you hear me any better than with the other headphones?
Susan, you were reappeared.
1 minute.
What's it say? Microphone, speak.
Yeah,
Yeah. There.
but I want to get back to
Okay.
the, I think I have to go to my thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Let me go to that, connect to.
Josh,
Yes,
what part of Maine?
install.
I'm in Northport.
Okay. Closing.
1 minute, guys.
Oh, let me shut that other one.
Oh, okay.
Joanne, can you hear me better now than with the other headphones?
Yes. We're shutting the other one down. Joanne shutting that one down so I can, 1 second, everybody. I apologize.
Madam Chair, this is Charlotte
Yeah.
speaking.
Hello, Ms.
I
Charlotte.
just muted your second instance. So if you're not able to shut it down, that's fine. It is not interfering.
Oh, good. I can hear you nice and clear now. And let's see here, let's try it again, see what happens.
And if I may, Madam Chair, as we now get to Clarendon Hill and there is a larger applicant team, I want to remind the applicant team and the board and everyone that if you are not speaking, muting yourself will help reduce any background noise and keep it clear for everyone. But you will always have the power to unmute yourself.
Okay. Says you can close this window now.
Oh.
How would you do that? Okay, do that.
Mhm.
I do this one right there. Huh. Tweet us. All right,
Oh,
it's working,
it's
starting.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now see what it does.
Hello.
Susan, we can hear and see you just fine.
Okay, great. I've just got this, thank you everyone for your patience. I just have this little thing in front of my face. I'm afraid it says go to webinar. It's their little logo and it says to close. Should I minimize it, Rachel? No, I did it again. Ridiculous.
You're fine.
But I can't see anything. I just have
Oh,
the
wow.
webinar. Where's Rachel?
Madam Chair, this is Charlotte. Rebecca signed off.
Okay. I
In
go to
my-
webinar by my screen, but I'm not picking any of you guys up. It's just a white screen. Connect to, go to, and it says here, if there's a problem with your session, all right. It's
Okay,
starting
it's
over. Download.
Oh, yeah. I'll do this. Okay, restart it. Click. Run.
Run. Sorry, guys.
So, Madam Chair, this is Charlotte speaking. I believe you might be in 2 instances of the meeting, because we can see and hear you. And so you are definitely in the meeting, but the screen showing the presentation on Clarendon and all of the video cameras might be minimized.
Yeah, that's all right. I got my papers. They were so kind to send me hard copies. Thank you. So let's call this session back in order. I'm calling the ZBA meeting back in order for July 15, 2020. And our case right now is the 40B 2020-001, 34 North Street, Clarendon Hill. Good evening, people.
Good evening.
Who's speaking?
This is Corey Meehan.
Hi, Corey. Thanks for your reports and everything we got. Thank you so much.
No problem. Shall I begin?
You sure may. Thank you.
Great. Thank you guys once again for hearing us tonight. For the record, my name is Corey Meehan, Somerville resident living at 6 Austin Street. I'm here tonight representing one of the co-developers, Preservation of Affordable Housing. I will mention my team who is on the phone once again, Joe Macaluso and Kevin Bumpus from the Somerville Housing Authority, Greg Bielecki from Redgate Residential, Gonzalo Puibo and Scott Heyman from Somerville Community Corporation, John Springfield also from POA. An army of folks from ICON are on tonight. ICON is our architecture firm, Nancy Ludwig, Kendra Hollowell, and Michelle Apigian. Our civil engineers also on from Design Consultants, Wayne Kefner, and our land use attorney, Yari Sanchez from Goulston and Stores. I'll get started. During tonight's presentation, we first hope to respond to the questions we received from the last hearing and also present our sustainability, how our approach to sustainability and how we're meeting the goals of the City of Somerville. I believe in hard copy, Chair Fontano and Member Severino, you have received a list of about 13 questions. And other members, you should have that in your email as well. I intend to use that list to guide the opening of this presentation. So hopefully everyone has that. If you could give me a thumbs up, I can see you, even though you can't see me. Great, thank you. So we'll start with accessibility. At the last meeting, Member Softy expressed concerns with our accessible route. We appreciated his comments and spent a lot of the last 3 weeks working on this. As Nancy described last time, the site has significant grade challenges and is currently extremely lacking with respect to accessibility. I believe you also all have in your possession somewhere, either electronically or hard copy, a copy of what is shown here on the screen. So you can zoom in or study it as much as you wish. I'll orient you, the green hatched lines are the areas where we were able to provide an accessible pathway within the 5% grade maximum. The yellow hatched lines are those areas where we were unable to accomplish that. The light orange ovals indicate the locations of the common areas within each building. The smaller green dots are the entries themselves. For the location that I think you can see my mouse shown here, we do understand that we will need to approach the Mass Architectural Access Board for a waiver. We understand this waiver is typically granted when the site is as challenging as it is here, especially when we're able to provide an accessible path through the majority of the rest of the site. So most importantly, what we've been able to do here by adjusting the grades really throughout this site, we knitted and picked over and over again, actually, to be able to get from here, this is North Street to orient you all, to come down this new street and to be able to access Building D, Building E, go across the common areas, come through Building A, B, You'll recall that we've provided a lift here in this corner that is protected by the weather, and we also have a stair. So I'll go to the next slide where I think oh no, I don't share that. I have a picture of the stair and the access later in this presentation, but not right here. So that was our first question that we wanted to respond to related to accessibility. Moving down the list, the second question we had was related to parking and whether or not we could look to reduce the amount of surface parking and expand the open space. You'll recall the zoning requires a minimum parking provision of 1 space per 1 unit. In our earlier efforts to find the right balance between code requirements, demand expectations, open space, and a healthy multimodal approach, we had proposed what's shown here on the left, which provided 106 parking spaces, surface parking spaces. Working closely with city staff, the city's design review committee, and listening to the feedback of the ward councilor and the Ward 7 constituents, we did make a few adjustments as we worked through the process. The most important here, you can see inside this red hatching, we were asked to expand the park and eliminate as much parking as possible. And this is the location where doing so is most beneficial to the user, as it's the sunniest spot of the site. So we extended the park in this direction. You can see that here, the parking has been eliminated and the park has been expanded. Additionally, we improved pedestrian access throughout the site. Go to the next slide to show that. Here you can see we introduced this WUNER, which provides direct access from Building E to the Central Park, and we expanded our crosswalks at the locations shown here. While these changes greatly enhance the open space provision and access on the site, you can see that it did lead to a reduction of 48 parking spaces. In total, we're asking to reduce the parking provision from the required minimum of 1 to 1 to a minimum of 0.5 to 1. The parking that we have shown on the site plan as proposed is necessary to achieve that ratio. There's 2 other factors I want to mention here that heavily influenced our parking solution. From the early days as we approached this site, we've been in negotiations with the existing residents of Clarendon Hill. It was their clear priority that we provide the amount of parking that they need there now, which was 113 parking spaces. This is a commitment we made to them. We made to them in a written relocation agreement to provide them with that level of parking. Secondly, the location where we have the opportunity to potentially eliminate parking is also the location where the 3-bedroom family units are located. I'm going to go back a slide actually and make sure people understand that. This parking here services these townhomes, and these townhomes are all 3 bedrooms. It's our expectation that these larger families will have a greater car ownership rate. It's for these reasons that we've been unable to further reduce our parking. The third question on your list we had a number of questions related to open space, and I'll try to get through all of them here. We heard a question about the use and the scale. First, to respond to this, to give a sense of scale, we found a few local comparables. The area shown within the orange boundaries on the upper left slide is comparable to that of Chucky Harris Park in East Somerville, shown here on the right. While the final details of our park are not yet confirmed, we would expect that similar to Chucky Harris, we would have some grade shifts, we would have a larger lawn space, we would have sitting areas, and we'd have play areas available to a range of users. The second question that was asked was whether or not someone would be able to kick a soccer ball around on this lawn. So we've outlined here the area that we anticipate being lawn area, and we have found that it's very comparable to the Winter Hill field. A little bit smaller, and so you couldn't actually fit a full-size soccer field there, but it would allow you the opportunity to pass a ball back and forth with a playmate. We also heard some questions about long-term maintenance and how will these spaces be maintained. Here we're just showing a few quick images of some of the work Copley Wolf has done in the past. The upper images are from the Seaport, some recently planted projects, and the lower images are from Assembly Row. Our landscape architect actually took these pictures on Friday while he was out on site for another visit. They demonstrate, I think, the thoughtful design and how these spaces can be easily maintained and continue to offer a pleasant landscape. These installations here were done over 6 years ago. Here are a few preservation of affordable housing projects. The pictures here of Temple Landing, which is in New Bedford, Bristol Arms, and Franklin Square House, we were actually able to get someone from our staff to go out and take pictures earlier this week and late last week. So these are current pictures of projects that were redeveloped, as you can see here, many years ago, 2011, 2012, and 2015. I think you can see from these that it's important to us as property owners and managers to maintain these spaces. And they demonstrate our ability to do that. The last question we had on open space related to what other recreation activities may be available nearby given the number of households we project to live here. This diagram is intended to show that diversity of options within a 5 and 10-minute walk. As you can see, there are many playgrounds, tennis courts, the Doughboy pool itself, playing fields, and access to the larger Alewife Brook network. While these are all nearby neighborhood amenities, they are at the current moment difficult to get to, which brings us to our next slide. Here you can see, and I've mentioned this earlier, the access through buildings A and B down across Alewife to the park. We've introduced, as you will see in a minute, a stair and a lift to get down, and then also the intersection improvements that I'll also show you. Here's that image of the stair. I think you've seen this before. You can see here the enclosed weather protected lift. And you hear that on this diagram, you can see how it would work, dropping you off near to the crosswalk. Question 4 on the list in front of you. We just wanted to take a moment to clarify and make sure everyone understood the intentions with the intersection. As you can see on the image on the left, the current intersection is difficult to navigate as a car. I'm sure folks are familiar with it. It's especially difficult to navigate as a pedestrian or a cyclist. Working with the city over 2 years ago now, we worked to introduce the idea of a new signalized T intersection here where Powder House comes into Alewife Brook. In association with this larger Clarendon Hill redevelopment, we worked with the city to apply for a MassWorks grant to address these infrastructure needs of the intersection. That award was granted back in December, and the city has been managing the design process moving forward. Related to that intersection work, we heard a question about whether or not we could introduce a light at the intersection shown here in this red circle. As you can see, there's an existing light at Broadway here on the left. And now with the proposed plan changes, there will be a light at Powder House and Alewife. As a state regulated road, we do not foresee the administration approving a third light in such a small span of roadway, especially with its proximity to this Broadway light being less than 400 feet. We also, question 5 on your list, related to sidewalk widths and how wide our furnishing zones were versus our sidewalk widths. The code requires a 6-foot sidewalk and a 6-foot furnishing zone, a total of 12 feet from back of sidewalk to curb. We're generally proposing a waiver down to 8 feet, 5 feet of sidewalk and 3 feet of furnishing zone, really throughout the site, which I think was the question from Member Softy. We've provided a section here, you can see it on the left side of the screen, to give you a sense of how that will work. The primary driver of that needed request is really to build the most efficient program we can here on this site. Specifically, there was a question about whether or not someone in a wheelchair would have room to move out of the way of pedestrian traffic within the furnishing zone to allow for a conversation with a friend. While in most locations we are not able to provide 4 feet within the furnishing zone, we could look into this with the city's engineering department as we finalize the right-of-way plans within the Central Park area. It's worth noting that the right-of-way plan has been heavily reviewed by the city's engineering department. It's taken a long time for us to get into a place where it meets all of the requirements. These requirements include things like making it a consistent dimension throughout the site, making sure it's centered on the middle of the roadway, and making sure it aligns with the back of sidewalk. That said, we're happy to work with the city's engineering department to see if we can accomplish a 4-foot furnishing zone and a larger sidewalk inside the plaza of the Central Park, if possible. Skipping down a little bit on your list to number 8. This question actually came from Councilor Ballantyne's written testimony, and which she delivered in the very first hearing. I believe she had 7 questions. We wanted to demonstrate to you all that we commit to meeting the City of Somerville stormwater requirements. Built in 1949, the project has no current stormwater management and no on-site retention whatsoever. Additionally, not uncommon for a property of this vintage, storm drains are also connected to the sanitary lines on the current site. All of the improvements shown here will greatly improve the stormwater management out on site. We'll separate the storm and sanitary. We'll be introducing retention basins that slow down and treat the runoff. And all in all, this stormwater solution will be much better than the current solution out at site. Here I've quickly summarized the additional questions that are on your list. I dare to call these the quote unquote easy questions. And they're easy because I hope that I have good answers for them. With respect to heat islands, we're meeting the zoning requirements and the sustainable guidelines. You'll hear from our sustainability consultant as we move through this presentation tonight more about our heat island solutions and how they satisfy the LEED requirements as well. There was a question as to confirming that we'll meet Chapter 11, which is, as I understand it, a municipal code requirement for roadways. We will. The waiver that has been incorporated in our documents is really to ensure that we're acknowledging the locations of our curb cuts as part of this process. Additionally, there was a question to make sure that we updated our traffic study. That has been done, that has been reviewed by the city's mobility staff. There are 2 waivers that we have through the course of this process withdrawn. One is the waiver with respect to the playground size, and as you will hear in a few minutes, we will be withdrawing our LEED Platinum waiver request to go down to LEED Gold. Additionally, we have committed to 100% native plantings, and we will be meeting the requirements of the tree preservation ordinance. So I've already shared the big news, at least it's big to us. It's taken a lot of hard work to get there, that we're withdrawing our LEED Platinum waiver and committing today to meet LEED Platinum. As we work through our design development, we'll identify in detail the exact building elements that will allow us to avoid to achieve the necessary scoring as we move ahead with construction drawings. It was a helpful suggestion from a community member to look at LEED 4.1. That helped us get a lot closer to the necessary scoring and realize that we have a pathway to get there. We know there will be additional costs to the project, but we understand the importance of this to the community and we're committed to getting there. Charlotte, I intend to hand it over to Michelle Apigian now. If you could make sure she's unmuted.
Michelle Apigian is unmuted. If you would like her to be able to present, let me know.
I think I can just do next slide and click for her.
Perfect. And just everyone can hear me? This is Michelle.
Yes,
we can,
Yes.
Michelle.
Awesome. So thanks so much for taking time tonight to listen to us and hear our latest feedback. It has been, as Corey said, a process to just understand the various, LEED parameters, especially LEED 4.1, and we appreciate that input. And we're happy today to talk about where we're at. And before we get to LEED, we greatly appreciate I'm a Somerville resident, as is Corey and many of us here. So we greatly appreciate the effort that went into the updated zoning and all that it took and all the effort that went into that. So the green score is an important metric that we're excited to be able to say without any equivocation that we're easily meeting, in spite of the fact that this is one site that's been parcelized. The focus of that is really around just understanding how we best use our urban landscape and manage, stormwater and pollutants, and all of those other things. And we feel like we've achieved a landscaping approach that is able to fundamentally address that. So we're excited about that. Really has nothing to do with LEED, but is important from a livability and overall kind of climate perspective. Next, Corey. In terms of LEED, as Corey alluded to, we certainly have had our process here. We started under version 4. We've more recently looked at 4.1, which is more focused on multifamily housing and residential, and has been a better fit. So we really appreciate the opportunity to rethink what we're able to do. And we are, at this point, confident and excited to say as a team that we believe that we can achieve platinum. There's just tons of different aspects to that, and what I want to do in the next few slides is really walk through each key criteria, each key kind of LEED bucket, and just talk through the key aspects that we're focused on and confident to be able to achieve. And what you're also going to see in the next slide is there's a lot of maybes. So we feel that while we might be committing to just kind of getting there, we feel like there's just a whole lot of opportunity to figure out just what's the right way to get there. So certainly, thinking about broadly about the site and about parking, both for vehicles and bicycles, as well as surfaces and how heat is being transferred. We're feeling very confident there. Next, Corey. In terms of location, we're certainly benefited hugely just by the fact that Somerville offers a lot of connectivity to existing infrastructure, to existing resources, and so we're naturally benefiting from a lot of that. But beyond that, we are again very focused on bike parking, and both for short term and for long term, and thinking about sheltered and the right percentages to achieve Somerville's goals. We also definitely are thinking about vehicular parking, and we've talked a lot about that over the last while, a couple of years here, but just reducing that parking count, getting it to dial in to what we think is needed, and getting that certainly to be, again, below grade wherever possible, so that it's not impacting our ability to use and make the most of the site. And definitely planning for the future, which is electric vehicles, and who knows what else is coming, but that's the near term future. So definitely planning for that. Next, Corey. From a site perspective, just thinking about the land and the earth and how we're going to be able to manage rainwater. This is huge, and Somerville is certainly very focused on this. And we are able to definitely address Somerville's requirements in a combination of rain gardens and bioretention areas. We're definitely thinking about heat and how we can mitigate that, both in terms of what's happening on our roofs with light TPO or other surfaces that will not be highly reflective, or will be highly reflective, as well as again covering the parking so we don't have large surfaces of asphalt, and thinking carefully about our hardscape. And finally, certainly in terms of light pollution, just thinking about lighting, no problem. Definitely thinking about how we are thinking about dark skies and not adding to light pollution. Next, Corey. Just to dig a little deeper into rainwater management, because as we dive into LEED relative to each parcel and project, we're not hitting the exact same number of points for every single parcel. And part of that is certainly, we have a couple of different owners, and they may have a couple of different mindsets around priorities. But a big piece, frankly, is just how the site was parcelized, the scale of the buildings that exist on each of those sites, and what we're physically able to achieve. So here, there's a lot of nuance. What I want to dial you in on is the green, the 2 green rows. And what you're going to see vertically is kind of each block and what we're able to achieve in terms of actual bioretention area. And so across the site, and I think this kind of at a highlight level across the site, we frankly don't have enough landscape area to achieve bioretention. But we do at different parcels have ability to achieve it. And so you're seeing, the 874 and the 20,028. And Corey, it might be helpful if you just go to the next slide so we can kind of highlight where that's happening. So here we are highlighting where that bioretention will be happening along these couple of buildings where we have some landscape and area to deal with that, because the parcels A and B are largely sitting over a podium, and there's just not a lot of opportunity there because we're trying to conceal that parking for all kinds of great reasons. Next, Corey. On the water efficiency front, which is sort of the next bucket, where we have no issue at all providing native plants and that will address our outdoor needs and will not require a whole lot of irrigation and will be highly successful at thriving, as well as providing water sense appliances and fixtures that will satisfy our indoor low flow requirements or desires. Then on the water metering front, and this is an interesting one, it seems sort of maybe from when you're sitting at 1,000 feet, it may seem so easy and obvious, but this actually comes with quite expense. And so we're going to continue to evaluate this. This is one of many of those kind of, 1 to 2 dozen of maybe points that we're really talking about that are out there. This is something that we want to think through more carefully, understand what the value of this might be relative to other opportunities. And we'll come back to you as we dig into that. Next, Corey. From an energy perspective, and something that's just not even remotely celebrated directly anyway yet in LEED, and frankly in very few standards, but we have committed to doing all electric, and we're really excited about that, and that is definitely kind of a new frontier. So that certainly helps us in some efficiency regards, but it's not easy. And so from a performance perspective, we're very excited about what we think we're going to be able to achieve just from an operational energy standpoint. We also are definitely committed to doing some degree of monitoring and reporting so that we are able to better understand what's happening and also better share as best practice and make sure that we're all in the future benefiting from the work we're doing here. And then we're certainly looking at renewable energy, and there's a lot of homework to do there in terms of orientation, in terms of capacity, in terms of square footage available in the roofs, but we will definitely be doing that homework. And no question, our structural approach will be to expect that we have this on the buildings so that we can accommodate it, and we'll be thinking about what we can do kind of from an infrastructure point of view. But there's just a lot of homework to do as to what's really feasible and what we can achieve, and we will look forward to following up with you on that. Corey, there's one more thing that I can't totally see for some reason. Oh, below renewable.
Heard that. I don't know how to make it so you can see the bottom of the
I
screen.
don't know
I
what's going on
apologize.
here. No problem.
But
What
it's
does
that
it
we're
say?
insulating our pipes.
Oh yes, exactly. So pipe insulation. I mean, this is just smart. We're gonna do it. It's a no-brainer. It's good practice. So got that. On the materials and resources side, and I know there were a lot of questions around this historically, we are definitely going to do whatever we can to have certainly low VOC, as well as, you know, a lot of high recyclable opportunities in our products, and looking for things that come from closer rather than further. And we see a lot of opportunity in some of the big finishes, the flooring, the drywall, potentially the concrete for roofing, siding, doors. You see it here, but we will keep looking at this. And I just want to say kind of out loud that one of our initial hesitances around this was that it takes a lot of homework and research to demonstrate compliance for some of these things. And it's not that it's not important, but it's not easy. So we will continue to push on these fronts and follow up with you as to what points we're achieving here. But we feel confident we'll be able to achieve a number of them, as well as certainly in terms of construction, demolition, waste, and management. No question, we have had no problem hitting this on many projects historically, and I think contractors are really on board for that. So I think we're going to be able to be successful there. Next. Indoor environmental quality, you know, a lot of this comes inevitably just from the great, the thermal and air tightness performance we're anticipating, as well as the system design that we have in mind, which includes continuous ventilation. And that's huge, and that is not happening in most projects. So that will definitely get us a huge way here. We also are focused supremely on compartmentalization between each unit, and we'll have detailing in mind around that, but we'll definitely be intentional around that. We will have doormats at the building entries, which allows for, you know, to filter things off of shoes and let particulates stop there at the entry vestibule and not be carried into the building. We're certainly focused on thermal comfort. We'll be doing energy modeling and some other things to help kind of dial that in, but we're intending exterior continuous insulation, which is definitely not the norm, and will be hugely important both for optimizing energy and for thermal comfort. So we're excited about that. And low emitting across the board, from paint to all the interior finishes that would, you know, have an impact on the interior environment. We are focused on low VOC and low chemical, and we'll be articulating just how we get there. And then finally, acoustic, also important. You know, units need to be separated acoustically from each other and from the corridors, and we're confident we can hit that. Next, Corey. The last couple slides are really how we kind of are able to achieve some extra measures, because the work we're doing here is really dialed into what's happening as a goal regionally. So, you know, certainly most of these credits are really a tribute to the commitment on the development team to what we're doing, as well as just a ongoing tribute to the sustainability piece and how Massachusetts specifically emphasizes the value of those things. So affordability is important. Educating the population that's going to be moving into these buildings, as well as the management staff, is important. We're able to achieve a lot of great points in terms of comfort and compartmentalization, again, because of the things we've already discussed, but also because it's considered kind of a priority and not typical these days. And this is a high priority site. It's in a great location with all kinds of access to all kinds of wonderful amenities and infrastructure. And so certainly Massachusetts is focused on prioritizing that. We have LEED accredited professionals on our team, so that's an easy thing to get. And maybe go to the next one, Corey, for the, oh, no, I guess that's it. So all of that is to say that we are now, after having dug into it quite a bit, feeling confident that we can hit platinum with a very strong baseline and with a huge percentage of maybes that we're going to be evaluating collectively and communicating over time. And so we are no longer looking for a waiver in that regard, which is pretty exciting.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
So this is Corey again, and we would obviously like to open it up to questions from you on, and Charlotte will remind us of what, or remind me at least of when public testimony happens. But we do hope that you feel we've responded to the requests and questions that you've had and the community at large has had. We appreciate your attention and value your feedback. I'm always pressed to remind folks that we have 200 families that are anxious for this project to get started. So I hope they're on the line tonight, listening. But we really hope that after we answer any questions you have tonight, we're ready to move forward at the next meeting to review conditions for a vote.
Thank you. So should we go forward with the public input? Charlotte?
Madam Chair, this is Charlotte. I am happy to orchestrate public comment. For anyone who has not been to a zoning board meeting before, the way we do this is if you would like to speak on this project, there is a little hand symbol that you should press and it'll virtually raise your hand. And I will go through the list of everyone and unmute you, give you 2 minutes to speak, remute you, and then move on to the next person. So I see 3 hands up right now. I'm going to take back sharing the screen. Give me 1 second because I want to make sure that you have a more visual. Give me 1 minute. Okay. First, you are up first and you have 2 minutes.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Trevor Samios. I'm an immediate neighbor to the Clarendon Hill community, and I live with my family at 6 Hamilton Road. I'm also here tonight representing our condo association for 2 to 8 Hamilton Road. So I'd like to lend our support and my personal support for the redevelopment of Clarendon Hill. I've attended multiple community meetings over the past couple of years and have found the development team to be wholly responsive to community input, both from residents of Clarendon Hill, which we were watching for, as well as abutters. Along with a number of my neighbors, I've also seen multiple preservation of affordable housing communities, throughout the greater Boston area. And we really believe that the development team here assembled can deliver on each aspect of the plan that they've presented. Lastly, and probably most importantly, I'm incredibly impressed by the organization of resident leaders who have worked tirelessly over the past few years in this community to present their vision, advocate for the importance of this redevelopment, and organizing this broader West Somerville community in support of mass transit and mixed income and environmentally sustainable redevelopment. It's our belief that this is exactly the type of thoughtful development that Somerville needs, and it's my hope that the redevelopment can move forward as quickly as possible. And thank you and the zoning board for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Samuels.
Next up is Tori Antonino. Tori, you are unmuted and have 2 minutes. Tori, you might need to unmute yourself.
I think I'm here. Hi, my name is Tori Antonino. I'm a resident activist and live in Somerville. First of all, this is a wonderful project. I feel it's all of these wonderful things we're doing with civic space, affordable housing. It's an excellent project and I appreciate it happening. I just want to say congratulations to the applicants for meeting all of Tatiana Valentine's requests and really just stepping up to the plate. I think you're hitting it out of the park. Thank you for going LEED Platinum. Thank you for planting native plants. It's really important to restore the ecosystem. If we are going to have a planet that survives, we need insects. So planting native plants creates that. We'll get the butterflies back. We'll get the dragonflies, the birds, everything. So thank you. I just wanted to thank you for that. And Tatiana Valentine, thanks for being so persevering and such a stalwart in your dedication to sustainability. So I'm really excited that the applicant was able to meet these points of Tatiana Valentine, and I really look forward to the project. So thank you, and thanks for all the hard community work.
Thank you very, very much.
Charlotte speaking. Tori, before you go, can you please state your address for the record?
For the record, I live on 65 Boston Street.
Thank you. Next up is Aaron Weber. Aaron, you are unmuted.
Hello, my name is Aaron Weber. I live at 32 Summit Avenue, which is not immediately next to this proposal, but I have been following it for some time. I know that it has the support of a lot of different groups across the community, and I think it is incredibly important. The people who have been living in the existing Clarendon Hill housing really need this, and we should approve it without delay. It is such a great project. I love the native plants. I love the park area, the traffic control, the Wooner. Just what a wonderful addition to the community. I'm really excited about this. Please approve it promptly. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weber.
Next up is Ariel White. Ariel, you're muted.
Hi, my name is Ariel White, and I live at 11 Hinckley Street, and I'm also here to express my support for this project. It's really hard to figure out as a community how to pay for public housing, and this set of organizations has cobbled together the money and has gone through a really extensive community process with the current Residents Association and with the neighbors for this project. And so I'm excited for my neighbors who currently live at Clarendon Hill to be able to return to safe and updated homes, and for there to be additional housing for families who want to stay in Somerville. And the project team has also figured out how to address a whole variety of other community concerns about sustainability and green space, as we've heard tonight. So, we desperately need more housing in Somerville, particularly affordable housing. And so I'm really hopeful about this project getting to go forward and meet some part of that need. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White.
Thank you. Next up is Ariel Cohane. Ariel, you have 2 minutes. Ariella. We will come back to her or to them. Next up is Christopher Allen. Christopher Allen, you're unmuted.
Hi, there we go. Hi, my name is Chris Allen. I live at 435 Washington Street, and I am here to speak in favor of this proposed development. I think the developer has been incredibly responsive. I think tuning in today after the previous comments about LEED and hearing, we heard the feedback from the community, we put in the effort, and yes, we can do that, was just incredibly exciting to hear. And at the root of it too, like this is badly needed housing, both to replace current housing that needs renovation and to provide housing for new members of the community. I hope that this can be used as an example of a public-private partnership that we can build on going forward. And I would please urge you to approve this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Next up is George Senelok. You are unmuted. George.
Sorry about that. Can you all hear me now?
We can hear you.
Thanks. I live at 81 School Street, apartment 1 in Somerville. I support this project because Somerville desperately needs a lot more housing. And that's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next up is Jeff Burns. Jeff, you are unmuted.
There we go. Hi, my name is Jeff Burns. I live at 294 Summer Street in Somerville, and I want to express my support for this project. It's been a long time coming. I'm happy to see how much effort they've put into all the things that have been asked of them and maintaining their support for the public housing residents we know so desperately need updated housing there and holding to their commitments while providing us all that additional housing we also need for all the folks who want to live here and still live here. So I hope that you approve this project and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Burns.
If I may, a reminder to everyone who is wishing to speak, when I unmute you, you may be self-muted. So you'll want to check your microphone and make sure it's green. If it's green, we can hear you. If it's red, try clicking on it to unmute yourself, and then we should be able to hear you. Next up is John Markin-Breska. John, you're unmuted.
Hello, my name.
Now unmuted.
I live at 51 Ossipee Road, so right in the neighborhood of the development, and I just want to express my support for the development. I think that it's really thoughtful and really good space, and I particularly like the plans for the Powder House and LY Parkway intersection redesign, which I think is an important addition to the neighborhood as well. But I think that housing improvements are even more important, and I hope that the board approves this.
Thank you.
Next up is Karina Wilkinson. Karina, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Karina Wilkinson, 35 Hawthorne.
What's your address? What's your address, please?
35 Hawthorne.
Thank you.
And I was, I'm pleased to hear the lead platinum waiver request has been withdrawn, and that if buildings in the future are going all electric, we would have the need for that gas pipeline that's sitting next to the project in the Stop and Shop parking lot. So I just wanted to go back to whether there had been any more communication with Spectra Energy regarding what the easement was on for their pipeline, and whether it was close enough that they would need to give approval.
Ms. Wilkinson, that doesn't fall under the ZBA's purview. Charlotte, do you have an answer? Any updates on that info? Does Lori or anybody?
Madam Chair, I don't know if I know the applicant was planning on reaching out to the pipeline operator. I believe that is the extent of the applicant's responsibility. As I've mentioned to the board before, my understanding of Ms. Wilkinson's concerns is that the pipeline operator needs to comply with federal laws. That pipeline operator needs to comply with federal laws irrespective of what the board does. And it is not the board's or the applicant's responsibility to make sure that the pipeline operator is complying with those state and federal laws.
Okay.
I'm not sure if the applicant has more information on that though. If they don't.
I can just add, this is Corey.
Yes, Corey, thank you.
I don't know if the questioner was able to attend the last hearing on the 24th, but we did show an image at that meeting where the pipeline does not run under the site. It runs on the other side of the park and then cuts across the street down in front of the Stop and Shop. We have reached out to the Spectra and have not heard back from them as of yet.
Great. Thank you very much, Corey.
To you with public comments. Next up is Laura Evans. Laura, you are unmuted.
Hi, my name is Laura Evans. I live at 221 Powder House, which is just down the block from this project. I am very excited about this. I think it is a great addition to the neighborhood, and especially it is a great addition for the residents of Clarendon Hill to have safe, healthy homes, which is so important. So I hope to see that this project move forward quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Meredith Elbaum. Meredith, you are unmuted.
There it goes. Takes a second. Meredith Elbaum, 6 Bigelow Street. I lived formerly at 15 Electric, so was a neighbor for a long time. I am the executive director of an organization, Built Environment Plus, which is the local USGBC community. I want to say thank you to the design team and for looking at V4.1 and finding a way to platinum. It's not easy, but it is feasible. I want to point out some of the things Michelle said are just really super exciting. Getting to 100% electric is not easy, as she said, and this project is going to be a model for affordable housing everywhere in the Commonwealth, leading to helping the state or the Commonwealth achieve its goals of net zero. I am curious as you look at this about next steps. There's still a lot in that maybe comment column and understanding the process then from moving those maybes to the yes. And I'd still like to hear the reasons for why the points that aren't being achieved. We heard a lot about this is what we're achieving. So I look forward to potentially a written document that explains both next steps and what isn't being achieved and why.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, there are a number of people who are here tonight who have spoken previously. Would you like me to try to prioritize people whose names I do not recognize to go first, so that we can make sure everyone has their chance to speak?
Well, yes. What happened at Ariel Cohen?
So we still have 8 or so people who wish to speak. I can get through all of them, but our number.
People, all right. So we're moving along. You do have a list there who wants to speak. I would say yes to anybody who has not spoken at all. We'll give them a preference. And I think we're getting the feel here. So I don't think we have to hear 50 other people. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but if there's anybody there that wants to raise their hand to you to let you know they have not spoken to the press, we're happy to hear from them, as well as those who have an issue. These are all positive comments we've received so far, but I don't know if there's anybody out there that's not happy with this project.
Okay, I will continue going through the list. Next up is Sonia Rosa. Sonia, you are unmuted.
Hello, my name is Sonia, and I live at 268 Powder House Boulevard with my 11-year-old son. And I'm here to plead you guys to go through with this project because I don't know if you guys been here, but this is not a no human should live in such a condition. So, and I'm praying every day that this project goes on.
Thank you, Rosa. Miss Rosa,
Yes,
thank you so much for your comment.
you're welcome.
Next, Charlotte.
Next up is Tom Lamar. Tom, you are unmuted.
Good evening, Tom Lamar, 17 Cross Street. I also serve as chair of the Somerville Bicycle Advisory Committee, and wish to convey that the Bicycle Advisory Committee previously discussed this project after meeting with several representatives and expressed general support for this project moving forwards. To some extent related to the specific improvements proposed at Powder House Boulevard and Aylark Brook Parkway. Very excited for the safety improvements there, but also general support for the housing project itself. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Next up is Virginia Kessler. Virginia, you are unmuted.
Hi, my name is Virginia Kiesler. I live at 2 Oak Terrace. I want to express my utmost support for this project. I think providing quality, affordable housing should be one of the greatest priorities for the city of Somerville, particularly given how quickly rents have been increasing in the city. And having followed this project for a few years, I think it's a really great project. So I want to express my support. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, next up is Letitia Scott. You are unmuted.
Hello, everyone. My name is Letitia Scott. I am one of the co-presidents of the tenants organization here, Clarendon Residents United. And I have called them before. I just want again to put my full support behind this project as a tenant. And as someone who has worked closely with the development team. I want to thank Corey, Joe, Kevin, Scott, and the rest of those I didn't mention. Our lawyer, Susan, and my other members on the board for just, we've come together. They've worked with us. They've compromised with us. They've listened to us. They've been transparent even during these difficult times. And for the neighbors, I want to also thank them for calling in. And I also would like to give an example of one of the difficult things we deal with living here. So I have a problem with like rust in my water in a way. So obviously if you run your water, it'll go away. But it's something that if you don't run your water every day, like in the shower, it will build up. So before I can take a shower, I have to make sure that the water's clear because you don't want that on your skin. And so I really want to put forward like this project needs to happen because no one should have to worry about that. And it becomes a bit of a frustration, you know. I mean, under these circumstances, I'm still grateful to have a home, but these are not great living conditions to live under. So again, please push this project through because the tenants here, we really need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Thank you for your passion.
Next up is Jason John. Jason, you are muted.
Hi, I'm Jason John. I live at 33 Newbury Street, so I'm a few blocks away. And there are a lot of reasons that this project looks appealing to me. I like the low parking ratio. I like all the green space. It seems like a big enhancement to the entire neighborhood. And most importantly, it provides safe homes for our neighbors in Clarendon. So I'm just pledging my enthusiastic support for this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Jessica Turner. Jessica, you may be self-muted.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
We can hear you.
Hi. Thank you, guys. I'm actually one of the other co-presidents of Clarendon Residents United. I live at Clarendon, and I just wanted to reiterate the importance of our project. And now I feel like, you know, with coronavirus and everything, the breathing issues that we already have down here, like it makes us vulnerable times a million. And I want to express my absolute support and compel you guys to also, you know, really put all of these details and pieces together in consideration of the residents. And I also have my son who would also like to say something briefly.
Go ahead. Speak up.
And that's it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next up is Ariel Cohen. Ariella, you are unmuted.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm a resident at 35 Waterhouse Street, so around the corner from this development, and I'm in great support of this. I've gone to another meeting, and I think the work that you're doing is super important, and I look forward to hopefully seeing this as a part of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlotte, we'll take 2 more calls.
Madam Chair, that is actually the last person who has raised their hand at this point.
Awesome. What perfect timing. Well, this is really something, all this great support. And I got to tell you, having had the pleasure of being seated on this board a long time, this is one of the most organized, but everybody that came up tonight, they gave their name, they gave their address, they had their passion, they said what they had to say. And I, as chair of the ZBA, want to thank them for their effort in being on target, because this is what helps us do our job. So I thank everybody that's come out tonight in the neighborhood in support of this program. And the presentation tonight from Corey and Michelle was very, very good. And I'll open it up now. We'll close the public portion if I may, and open up to the board and see what we can do for the rest of our time here. We started around 7 o'clock, so we're doing pretty good, I think. So if the board would be so kind to raise your hand, I hope that you folks who had questions for Corey and the team last time, we've got our list. I think she addressed mostly everybody. We might want to tweak a couple things. Josh might, or Drew, you should be happy with the park situation, the green space, and Elaine and Danielle. So whoever would like to speak, please raise your hand now. Elaine.
I just wanted to make a comment back on the water efficiency page on the outdoor water use reduction, where it says native plants to minimize, use native plants to minimize irrigation. I just wondered how that would work. Native plants require lots of water just like others. I have lots of native plants in my yard, and they require water also. So I don't know how that is such a big water reducer.
That's a great question. And I'm not a landscape architect, but there are
Is
those
this
on our
Michelle?
team. Yes,
Excuse
this
me.
is Michelle. I
Okay,
apologize.
hon. That's
Yep.
okay.
Michelle here from Icon. But the reason that LEED incents native plantings is because there is a broad mindset that plants that are native are better able to manage our climate, right, and need less overall TLC, which may be water, but not necessarily water. But you know, we'd be happy to have a conversation with our landscape architect, and I know they're listening in here, and perhaps even might want to jump in. But we could certainly follow up with you on how that makes a difference.
Are they
Yeah,
there?
this is,
Can they speak right now?
yes, I should be unmuted now. This is Andrew
Yes.
Arbaugh.
Go ahead, Andrew.
So, sure, absolutely. To your point, it's not that native plants necessarily require zero irrigation. Like all plants, in times of great drought and times, especially of great drought, irrigation is helpful. We find that native plants in general, again, as Michelle said, are just slightly more adaptable, and they're able to handle climate fluctuations that are normal in this area slightly better than plants that have been introduced from other places within the world. So it's not that they're require zero irrigation per se, but they do have a greater adaptability as a larger group.
Thank you, Andrew. Elaine, does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, I find that that doesn't really have anything to do with it. Yes, they will hang in there longer if they are native plants, but it has nothing to do with or helps us to save any kind of water. The other question I had on pictures of different places that I think this team has managed. One of them, the picture of Assembly Row. I just didn't think that was kind of an up-to-date. I've been out to Assembly Row, and there's seems to be a lot of dead stuff out there. I know some of the other projects were very beautiful, and the pictures were taken very recently. Didn't seem to me that Assembly Row was taken as I've driven around there trying to find parking. I'm thinking, look at this thing. This has died, and this has died, and this is kind of empty. So I just would hope that Assembly Row would come back to life again. Whether there are still some things alive, but there's a lot of stuff dead.
May I ask a question of Elaine through Andrew? This is Susan. Elaine, where you saw these areas, are there areas where there's a lot of construction going on, and are they getting beaten up with the stuff that's going on down there? There's a bunch of stuff going on. Might that be the reason?
No, there wasn't construction near it.
Andrew?
Sure, I can speak directly. The images that you saw were images that I personally took on Friday. So that is the current condition of Assembly Row as of Friday. Assembly Row is obviously a much higher trafficked area than we would ever expect Clarendon Hill in this particular project to be. It is subject to a tremendous, much more sort of human and construction related activity. There are several blocks of assembly that are currently under construction and have been over the course of years.
So what do you say to Elaine, who goes down there, and there are things that aren't right, but there's not construction going on? How come no one's addressing that right now?
Again, it is a very different situation. It's a very larger scale. What it does have in common is that it's a public park that is being maintained by a private developer. So I think that there's a level of coordination that will occur and that we would expect to occur as this park develops. And again, as we've mentioned before, this is a park that's right in the center of this community. It's in the center of a community that's going to be trying to market itself. So it's in the best interest of the developers to really make sure that this space is beautiful both for the tenants within their community and the tenant and the community at large. And having worked with this group and having seen how responsive that they are, including making so many community outreaches, I feel very confident that they're going to be able to provide a park that the city of Somerville is going to be incredibly proud to call its own.
Okay, thank you. Elaine, anything else?
No, I'm all set.
And there's nothing else in the project you want to question? You're gonna wait and hear everybody else? Gonna listen to everybody else? Okay, thank you, Elaine. Danielle Evans, please.
I was trying to compare the drawing. So there was no change made to the surface lot behind the townhomes. I was trying to follow along.
Charlotte, do I still have the ability to share my screen?
This is Charlotte speaking. Yes, you can share your screen.
Okay. And maybe Danielle, you already have it in front of you as I search to find the right button to push. But the image shows the changes that we have previously made, but there have been we did not accommodate any further changes.
Any additional changes? Okay. All right, yeah, I was trying to figure out, because I was comparing the drawings and they looked the same. The original one, when was that? I'm just trying to figure out, when was that presented?
So you know, as you may recall, we've been in the community for a very long time. And then before we came to zoning board, we went to the design review committee with the city of Somerville. I think we went twice. And someone else on the phone can correct me if I'm wrong. But it was during that time that we were really struggling here with the best way to treat surface parking and the needs of our open space at the same time.
Danielle, you all set?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that the efforts that they've made, and it looks like, you know, it was improved from the original iteration.
You were concerned with especially Route 16, the folks getting from this, from the Clarendon across to the park access. And you saw what they've done. They're gonna get rid of that rotary. It's gonna have a light there. The existing lights, it's gonna stay there, but they couldn't add a third.
Yeah.
And, okay. And what other question did you have about the accessibility? Was that it?
I think that was the bulk of my concerns.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, I'm very excited and supportive of this project. I mean, I think it's going to be fantastic. So I don't want anyone to have any doubts that I am supportive of this, because I definitely am.
Right, beautiful. Because, you know, this is where the rubber meets the road. We want to move forward on this now. So if you guys have anything you want the team to work on or bring up to, I mean, there's certain things are a compromise. We've done this long enough, all of us, that we know we have to live with some things like the third traffic light, stuff like that. So it's a state highway. So I'd like you guys to really get your thoughts together and let's move on this as soon as we can. Josh, do you have some comments you'd like to make? I know you had some concerns. I don't know if they answered them enough for you.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort that went into solving some of the accessibility problems and then also representing it in a really clear way. You know, Corey and the rest of the team, I think that the improvements you made will only help when it comes time to seek the variances with the Architectural Access Board. I think it's a pretty compelling case now. And I think it'll be a much more accessible and usable, you know, campus for visitors and residents alike. Madam Chair, I'm still not 100% comfortable with the width of the furnishing zones and the sidewalk zones. I understand some of the limitations. I guess the clarification that I would want is whether, you know, so in that one slide that was presented, there were two different sidewalk sections. And I wonder whether all of them are going to be the 3-foot furnishing and 5-foot, or whether there will be portions that are wider, or whether there could be portions that would be wider. Because I think if there were some areas that are most likely to be areas where people would want to stop and sit, yeah, this is the one I was talking about. So, you know, the 4-foot and 6-foot feels, you know, comfortable to me. Even 4-foot and 5-foot would be okay. And so I'm wondering whether this is going to be a universal condition or whether this is just the worst case scenario, and that there might be places where both these zones do get wider than that minimum of 3 and 5.
Who can address that, Corey?
Madam
Yeah.
Chair, this is Corey. I will try and my architects will jump in if I fail. Universal condition is not the word I would choose, but the 3 and the 5 is mostly what we are proposing on the site. And what we've suggested here is that we might have an ability inside the Central Park itself to expand to the 4 and 6. It's something that we certainly have to work closely with the city's engineering department on, as I mentioned, balancing the needs of the right of way and the needs of the engineering department. But we're happy to look at that. But I guess the base answer is for the majority of the streets that line the buildings, the 3 and the 5 is what we're able to provide.
And Corey, I mean, to me, that seems, I mean, it's certainly better than a lot of the city's streets or sidewalks. I think that, surrounding the park and then also in the shared street section, sorry, the Danish name or whatever it is that you are using, but, sorry. But in that portion also, I think that's going to be, in the Wooners, that will be a place where people might want to stop. And if there's an opportunity to expand from that minimum baseline of 3.5 there, I think it would be desirable as well. But Madam Chair, I mean, specifically related to the variance, I think I'd be comfortable granting it, with a condition that if the applicants could live with this, with a condition that, they would make reasonable efforts to exceed that minimum in the Wooners and the Central Park areas.
Thank you, Josh. Because that was going to be my next question to Corey. When we come across something like this and you say, we'll make the effort to see what we can do, where we can do it and stuff like that. That's as you build and you go forward, you have this little checklist of things you're going to address wherever you can.
That works for us.
All right. And does that work for Josh?
Specifically with this issue, yeah. I mean, I'm
that's what I
100%
mean.
okay with the accessible route question now. I think it looks much, much better. And I think, related to the sidewalk widths, I'm comfortable with, providing a variance or a waiver saying that the minimum would be a 3-foot furnishing zone and a 5-foot clear zone. And then a condition that, where possible, and particularly in the Wooners and in the Central Park, the team would, make efforts to get closer to that 4-foot and 6-foot, like is shown on the right-hand side of this slide.
Madam Chair,
Josh. Yes.
if I may, this is Charlotte speaking.
Hey, Charlotte.
Staff is working on drafting the list of conditions for this project.
Okay.
As every project is approved with conditions. And so concerns like this, we can include, my understanding is we can include a condition saying the applicant will work with the engineering department to maximize sidewalk widths, but they have that waiver where if they need a 3-foot furnishing zone, they can do a 3-foot furnishing zone, even if their goal will be when 4 feet is possible, they'll try to do 4 feet. So we're working on that conditions list and it will be reviewed by the board prior to a decision.
The board meaning the zoning board or the planning board?
The board meaning all of you.
Both. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as we go forward, let's say after tonight, are you going to come, if we have a next meeting to make a final vote on our waivers here, are you going to have a list of the drafting these conditions that pertain to ZBA? Because when we're through, this is going to planning, yes?
Madam Chair, that is incorrect. You are the only board that needs to grant approvals for this project. Because this is a 40B.
Okay. Thank you.
They have kind of a special process.
Yeah, I get it. I forgot about that. I'm sorry about that. Okay.
It's uncommon.
All right, yeah. So Josh is all set. Ann Brockelman.
Yes, Madam Chair. like everyone, I'm very happy to see the sustainable design, the LEED Platinum goal, the request for waiver withdrawn. I know everybody's talked about it, but I don't think it can be emphasized enough. I think I heard one member of the public mention net zero, and I don't believe that's a target. Maybe perhaps you misspoke. Just to make sure we're not misunderstanding anything. So I'm really happy to see that. I would, the applicant mentions a lot about the maybes list. I think maybe it's worth clarifying to the public that the way LEED's approach is that we have a list of yes credits, maybe credits, which are requirements that we are trying to meet but can't be sure, and then there's the no credits. So just wanted to say that for the public's sake. I would like to understand what the maybes are, just to understand what the challenges of the project are better. But that's really the right thing to do. So thank you for going back and taking a look at that and coming back to us and the community with this can-do attitude towards sustainability. I think I did mention the lift as a proposed solution to the grade change. I do see the rendering. It does look to be very integrated with the architecture, so I would make sure, continue along that vein, that it is an integrated indoor solution. Yes, it just looks like the same window system. Is that right? That's the intention?
That's correct. Yep.
Yes, so that's great. I think that's it. One thing on process, I really appreciate the way the applicants presented very clearly and recapped issues from the last meeting, reminding us of what we highlighted. And also, what waivers are withdrawn. I think I would like to see in every meeting, and perhaps there's just one more, I don't know, that the full list each time and the withdrawn struck, just so we understand the full history and context. So don't just take it out. The playground size waiver is withdrawn, so I think that's great. Keep the full list, and then strike them, and perhaps there's a column for notes or something. I know there's a details column already, but I think having that as a reference in every presentation would be really helpful, at least for us when we're reviewing it individually. You don't have to present to go through the list. So there were there's a whole page of dimensional waivers, there was zoning, and it was very clearly divided into, looking at the slides, parking, mobility, sidewalks, public realm. So to continue grouping those for us, I think that would just be really helpful to carry through. Because I know certain slides you didn't show again because you're focused on certain topics, but just to have a reference. Waiver request slide.
What you're saying then is that you don't want them to go over everything all the time, but it's nice to have it in the package, because at the end of the day, when this is all done, I know a lot of us, we keep certain projects, we keep the file on it, all the dimensions, all the plans. And like we say, you folks keep saying, Corey and Michelle, you folks have been working on this a long time, and you've worked with a lot of people, and it's a lot for everybody to digest. So if we have a packet like that, like the sheet you had tonight, reviewed the 13, questions that you addressed tonight, I thought this was a great worksheet for me, and it really helps so that I could then go back to our board and say, gee, Josh asked for this, Drew's gonna ask for that, Elaine. So I think that's a nice suggestion, Ann. And like you said, not to go over it, you don't have to beat it up again, go forward, but at least we have that as the history.
May I respond?
Yeah, I was looking.
Corey.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Just to clarify a couple things. So it is our intention to submit, part of our required submissions is the LEED scoring itself with a narrative and, why we get certain points and why we don't. We have to update that and submit that to the city staff, and then they'll incorporate that into their report to you.
Beautiful.
And so that should help answer those questions there. And I think with respect to the waivers, you know, that list will get updated and presented to you as part of the final conditions. And we do hope that that vote happens next week or next week at the next hearing. But it will have the comprehensive list of waivers all together with the updated dimensional numbers.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Ann. You all set, Ann?
And net zero is not.
It is not. I heard that as a comment of this project helps the state work towards net zero goals.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Mr. Kane. I know you're leaving us, but we want to hear what you have to say.
Sorry, I was muted for a second. I said something really brilliant. No, I want to say congratulations to the
After
team.
tonight, you're going to be really muted. No.
Yeah, right. You can shut me down anytime, Susan.
No, go ahead. I'm playing with you.
No,
Tanner, I know you have great input for us. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, first of all, congratulations to the team. You know, I think it's an excellent project, and I know it means a lot to the residents. You know, I know it means a lot to the community at large, in particular the folks that are living there now. So the fact that you have their support, you know, I think that's wonderful. Thank you for enlarging the open space as much as you could. I appreciated that. Looking to take another look at that was important to me. And I want to reiterate some of the stuff that Josh said with respect to the sidewalk widths. It would be great if it's possible to get beyond that 5:3 ratio, or not ratio rather, but dimensions that you have there. That is a pretty narrow sidewalk for some of the buildings of the scale that you have on the site. So I kind of agree with Josh if you can increase that. And also the 4-foot planting zone isn't ideal for tree growth. So if it's possible, it would be great to see a wider sidewalk at points in the site plan. But other than that, no, I don't have many comments. So thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Thank you. So is there anybody that has anything they want to say that the team can take away with them tonight? Elaine?
I just wanted to say, for the updates, it was great to get the packet in the hard copies. And I just wanted to say it would be great to have that again in hard copies of things that are going to be done before our next meeting.
Yes, I agree, Elaine. It was great help. Thank you. So let me understand, and Charlotte, you can help me with this, and Corey. You guys are going away with some of these comments they had. Maybe the next meeting will be our last meeting. So I'll talk to staff. We've got to get some of these conditions written up and formal look at the waivers, how we're going to present that. We have to do a little bit of homework the next couple of weeks. Danielle is the clerk and you make these presentations and you're a planner. Do you have any suggestions of something you'd be looking for your motions, or if they have any other questions for them to take away tonight?
So what we would be voting on, we'd have to approve all of the waiver requests.
Waivers, yep.
Yeah, so obviously we would need the updated list, which would be an updated staff report. And then Charlotte would have all our conditions. And then I think the only other, I'm not sure what the other vote is, just to approve it under 40.
So, Madam Chair, if I may, I can do some research and double check to make sure that I have a list of any and all votes that you'll need to take to approve this. We will need to make specific findings, specifically the most important finding for a project like this is finding that this project is, wow, my brain is immediately blanking on what the finding needs to be. Corey, if you could help me on that, it needs to be compatible with local concerns, something along that.
Hi there, this is Johnny Sanchez, counsel from Goulston Stores. It's consistent with local needs.
Thank you. That is the major finding that needs to be made for a project like this.
Okay.
But I will get back. I will have information next week or next meeting on
Right, you'll be prepared for us.
Might need to be made. And if I may, I know Councillor Valentine is present and would like to speak before the meeting is over. So whenever you feel is an appropriate time, I know she is interested.
Okay, one more second, to mentioning Councilor Valentine, we did get, for the record, we did get 2 emails today. One from Mark Niedergang. I'm looking at my notes in support of this. And Ben Ewan Campen. They both sent emails today to strongly support the project. And yes, we'd love to hear from Councilor Valentine. She's been on this since the beginning. Good evening, Councilor.
Councilor Valentine, you're unmuted.
Thank you. Good evening, honorable board. I would like to say, as I have in the past, is that I am total support of this project. Our neighborhood is in support of this project. I think in particular, hearing today that the waiver request for LEED Platinum certifiable is being withdrawn is absolutely huge. As a community, we spent a very long time on our zoning overhaul. I think that most people understand that climate change is here and it's affecting us, and that this particular project is a project that is thinking about the future in terms of sustainability is absolutely wonderful. It's wonderful for the residents who are living in difficult housing housing stock now to be able to live in a clean, sustainable building that really thinks about the future and about their health is just absolutely wonderful. And I am appreciative of the development team for working really hard, of Icon Architects and the residents who have been at 4 years worth of community meetings, and to you all as the Honorable Zoning Board of Appeals, that you, I ask that you support this project so we can also take your vote forward. There is another step that goes before the City Council, because the City Council is, the City of Somerville is contributing $10 million to this project. So on that letter, conditions of award letter that is tied to those $10 million, it would be wonderful to be able to bring this vote of approval to our next council meeting, which is on August 27th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Charlotte?
Madam Chair.
Do you have anybody else want to say anything or any other comments other than the board? No? Okay. I'm looking forward to our next meeting. I do want to say I agree with the board. I usually pick their brains and let them do their thing. I always say it's the pleasure of the board. I thought what was very moving about this project was not just that the people who live there or have lived there, or the people on this team, be it Corey or Michelle or the landscapers, everybody involved, the architectural firm, but the people in the neighborhood, the people that surround the area, there's no sour grapes. I'm speaking candidly. You know, sometimes when something's gonna start happening in your neighborhood, everybody that says, not in my backyard. We didn't hear that from this group. And I think that's wonderful and speaks to the people of Somerville, their pride and their compassion they have for their fellow citizen. So I think you guys have really banged out a lot of issues. I think you worked well with the neighborhood and the city. And I'm proud of everybody I've worked with on this. Everybody's been so helpful, and it's going to be something to be proud of. So unless anybody else has anything to say, we'll adjourn tonight. People are going to go back, do some homework. If anybody has any comments, they can speak to staff about it. And if anybody else has something to say, we'll adjourn the meeting. Does anybody have something they want to add?
I just had one thing.
Who's that?
Danielle?
Yes, Danielle.
So not to belabor the parking behind the townhouses, but I just wanted to make sure that all the efforts were made to tighten that up as much as possible, like the driving, the aisle widths and all of that. Like I understand that the parking spaces won't be reduced, but I just wanted to make sure that the aisle widths and all that, just to the least amount of.
Hi, Danielle, this is Corey.
Yeah.
We have certainly looked at making our aisles as small as possible throughout this process and worked closely with the city's mobility department. And I know that our traffic engineer, who's smarter about these things, is on the phone. But I think I can say positively, and he can kick me under the table, that we've gotten these as small and narrow as we can.
And that's two-way? It can't be made one-way?
It cannot be made one way, given the circulation patterns of the road.
Okay.
Can we see that slide by any chance?
Yes, let me try to do that.
And on the parking, I don't mean to insult anybody's intelligence, but I'm sure there's a certain amount of their compact to get more spots in there, some compact spots as opposed to standard.
I'm sorry, Chair Fontano, could you say that again? I was distracted looking through my files for a good image.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just saying that what Danielle's saying about more, the spots, I'm sure in the size and the aisles and stuff, that you're allowed for so many compact parking as well as standard.
That's correct.
Okay.
Very close to finding the right drawing.
Yeah, myself as we're speaking.
And
what about doing like a different material for the actual parking spaces?
I'm going to defer to Kendra or Nancy. Are you available? Are you out there unmuted? And did I successfully share the site plan again?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is Kendra Halliwell from Icon. We've definitely taken care to make the drive widths, the drive lanes, the parking spaces all as minimal as possible, because I think we all would like to see a maximum green space here. The question about the material change is a good one. I believe that we are committed to porous materials in the parking spaces there. And so I think, we can certainly look at the color to try to make it a little more different in order to minimize the visual width of that roadway.
Yeah, I think just anything that even makes it look narrower, like say all those parking spots were open, it looks really wide and might cause someone to kind of speed through there a little faster than they should. And because those are family units and across the street from that park, you definitely don't want people, flying through there. And also, color change will make it look less like a parking lot. And I feel like there's some visual treatments to just kind of improve it.
Understood.
Blacktop.
Is this the townhouse area, Danielle, you're referring to?
Yeah,
Right, yes, thank you. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
it's just that it's a street. It's supposed to be a street, and we just don't have streets with, head-in parking.
Yeah, yeah.
So it doesn't read as a street. It reads as a parking lot to me. And I
Okay.
totally understand the need for the spaces. I don't want to take away the spaces from those townhouses. It was mostly the configuration, which I found problematic.
Great.
But I'm not going to, stand in the way of the project because of that. I'm just looking to see if there's any tweaks that could be made.
Mhm. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Kendra. Is it Kenda or Kendra?
Yes, thank you. It's Kendra. Thank you.
Kendra. Thank you. Okay, so is that it from the board here? So could I ask, Charlotte, we're all set? We can adjourn? We'll close this.
Madam
meeting,
Chair,
continue?
we do have to continue this first.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I can go forward with that. You're all set? Okay.
I just want to note that while staff will work as diligently as we can on getting conditions, I don't want to promise that we will have a full list of conditions for the next meeting. This is a large project and yeah, I don't want to promise that we'll have a full list of conditions ready to go, although we will be working on the conditions and hope to have a list ready for the next meeting.
Well, my only warning to you is if we're ready to go forward on a vote, we want to know all our conditions. So will you not be prepared for the next meeting of August 5th for that? I know we need to go on this.
We very much hope to be prepared, and we'll have at least some conditions, but with the need for all of you to review the conditions, I can't guarantee that it'll be a full, complete list that won't need amendments.
I get you. You better call in the troops, Charlotte. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your candor, and we do appreciate what you do. So without further ado, Danielle, can we have a motion for a continuance, please?
In the matter of case 40B 2020-001, 34 North Street, Clarendon Hill, I make a motion that we continue this to the August 19, 2020 meeting.
No.
No? Is that not the next meeting?
No.
Madam Chair. Oh, August 5th.
The next meeting is August 5th.
Sorry about that.
That's
August
okay. 5th. Great. May I have a second on the August 5th motion? Seconded by Elaine Severino. Around the board here, Elaine Severino, yay or nay?
Aye.
Aye. Drew Kane.
Aye.
Susan Fontano, aye. Josh Safdie.
Aye.
Ann Brockelman.
Aye.
And Danielle Evans.
Aye.
Let the record show it was unanimous, and we will meet on August the 5th. Thank you. Good luck, Corey and team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
We'll
all.
see you on the
Really
5th.
appreciate your time
Okay.
and attention.
And now, Michelle and everyone else there. Also, if there's no other business, for all real, good luck to Drew.
Thank you, guys. It's been a lot of fun.
And does anybody have anything to say before we get a motion to close? Nope, everybody's smiling. May I have a motion, please?
A motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Elaine Severino. All in favor, say aye. The ayes have it.
Aye.
Thank you.
So long, guys.
So
Bye,
long.
everyone.
Josh, enjoy your vacation.
Thank you.